Hi there, how are you doing? I can't believe it's September already. Where has the year gone? And it was a big month for myself and Neil for September, my husband, who I cared for because he was born, married, and died in September. Big month. And today, 6th of September, this is when Neil actually passed away. And, I said thank you when he passed because I didn't want him suffering anymore because he'd been so disabled for very long. And also, I was suffering with him, and compassion means to suffer with. And we certainly do that, don't we, when we are caring. So today I'm actually reading a bit of Who Cares? How to Care for Yourself Whilst Caring for a Loved One in our cottage. It's actually in the living room this time. And this is where Neil was. This is his bedroom for like 4 years, the last 4 years of his life. He was in a hospital bed right here. And it was a nice living room. But I have to say, when it came to his bedroom and being in here, but I did feel it was a bit like a nursing home, our house, for many a year. And I called it the Mediquip Show House because we had so many bits of apparatus, like hoisting Neil and getting Neil up and ready and getting the wheelchair in here. There was a lot of stuff all around. So I used to hide it at the back of the dining room of all places. And then I put some flowers on the table to try and hide. So you'd see the flowers, not all the stuff that went with caring. Anyway, today I'm going to be reading from the chapter called Drop the Mask. Drop the mask. What must that mean when you are caring for a loved one? So many of us are not honest with others, and we do hide our true feelings. It's almost as though we wear a mask. We've all done it. We show others, like our friends and family, a particular side to ourselves when really deep down we are feeling very different. Also, we may show our best side to doctors or healthcare professionals rather than opening up and telling them what we are really thinking or questions we may want to ask. Do you find yourself doing that? So why do we hide our feelings? Many of us don't tell others what they want to hear because we don't want to upset them. Also, we may want to stay on their best side, or else we may put up a front because we fear being judged. We don't want to look like we're failing, right? Or we don't want to disappoint those around us. We prefer to look as though we are coping. Even at the end, we fall ill from the stress rather than being honest and telling them as it really is. None of us wants to appear vulnerable, do we? Or inadequate. Furthermore, we are not usually keen on telling someone how they make us feel if those feelings are negative. We would rather appease them. I think most of us prefer to complain to others rather than the person who has upset us and actually does need to hear it. Rarely do we give honest feedback to that person who needs to hear it. It's about saving face, appearing as though we are fine, when deep down we are not. The consequences of people pleasing. Do you people please? Because I know I did it many a time. Many of us genuinely like to please others, but we may also people please because we want to fit into society. We want to be liked, don't we? It's a kind of coping mechanism, but it can have serious consequences when dealing with a difficult challenge like caring. Have courage. I kept my feelings under wraps for a long time, particularly for a member of family, because I had fear of her judging me and us falling out. I didn't want this to happen. On top of the stress of caring, this family member was quite critical about me, even at times when paid carers were around. They didn't visit very often, and they could see I was caring for a terminally ill husband. Their flippant and often unkind comments swirled around in my head for months, and I struggled to cope, and I felt they were undermining me. I wanted to tell them how they made me feel and what I needed when it came to support, not their judgment. But I loathed conflict, don't you? So when I saw them, it was as if I put on a mask. I was always polite, even though at times they had been unkind to me. I harboured deep resentment, and it reduced me to tears. Have you ever experienced anything similar? I remember even crying on Neil's shoulder one evening, and all he could do was put his hand on my back and softly stroke it with his good hand. Hiding behind my mask had serious ramifications for me because I suppressed these negative feelings for years about this person, and I believe this contributed to my downfall and my illness for months. Continuous negative thoughts brought on by another's poor behaviour as well as caring can push a carer over the edge. Even when unwell, many carers continue to wear a mask as they want to look like they're coping and don't want to cause any issues. For me, it wasn't until a particular family member did something that was so awful that I no longer refused to turn away from their unpleasant behaviour. I dropped the mask and spoke to them directly and truthfully for the first time in 10 years. Yes, it was that long. It wasn't a comfortable conversation, but it needed to be said. Bottling it up was not an option for me anymore. During this phone conversation, my points were made. I made them respectfully and noted them. But I know this other person who was not truly honest. She wasn't honest in her conversation. Even if you open up to others, they may not drop their mask as well. A leopard never changes its spot, but this family member did slightly improve after our conversation. So maybe that's all you need, or acknowledgement of what you do every day. That's sometimes all we need for them to realise what you're going through. It cost me a lot to wear that mask. I had wasted so much time and energy, often for years, fretting and stressing about how to deal with a person's lack of compassion. We all have friends and family who push our buttons and can cause us grief. It is a way of the world. The question is, how long are you going to deal with it? Caring is hard enough, but suppressing our emotions can lead to further mental and physical stress on the body and to our health. So be authentic. What does it mean to be authentic? It means to be truly who you are without the mask. To be honest and open with ourselves and those around us. Whatever the outcome, in doing so we can feel more liberated, but it does take courage to open up and tell others our deepest feelings. When do you feel like you are at your most authentic? I feel I am the real me when I'm in the company of my good friends. We speak openly and honestly and for no fear of reprisal. It is also enjoyable and liberating. Also, when do you notice you're not being your true self? From who do you hide your feelings? There may be particular relationships in which you feel you cannot be your true self. I have found this can often happen in the company of those who are quite opinionated and judgmental. They can reduce our ability to be our real selves. I find whilst in the company of these kinds of people, I shrink and I make myself small so that these people criticize me less and they don't see the real me. The unkindness of others actually pushes us away. So set your boundaries. Sometimes someone saying something that oversteps your boundaries, they can come out with a flippant comment and undermine all that you do. It can be very difficult and we take it personally. I have family and healthcare professionals have sometimes made remarks, not meaning to offend me, I'm sure, but all the same, they have done so. And my impression was that they just didn't understand the situation that I was dealing with. To learn more about the book and the course, Already Transforming Carers' Lives, go to www.whocaresforcarers.com. Thank you.